Welcome to the Aegance Offscript Podcast, where we talk to industry leaders who share their stories, insights, and lessons, unfiltered and unscripted. I'm your host, Lawrence, and today I'm joined by Chetna Chadha, the founder and CEO of SilverFern Digital. Now, SilverFern Digital is a Dubai-based digital consultancy that supports organizations end-to-end across product strategy, UX and UI design, web development, mobile app development, and AI, essentially helping teams go from idea to ship product with fewer detours. The reason this is interesting right now is simple. Building digital products isn't the hard part anymore. Building them repeatedly with speed and quality while expectations keep rising. Clients want faster delivery, cleaner execution, and increasingly they want AI in the mix, but without the chaos that usually comes with it. Chetna, great to have you here.
Thanks, Lawrence. Thank you for having me on this podcast. And thank you for the lovely introduction as well.
It's an absolute pleasure. I mean, I've done my best to position SilverFern, but I'm sure you can give us a little bit more context around what it is that you do, what are your areas of operations, etc.
Sure, happy to do that. So as you mentioned in your intro, we are a digital or a tech consultancy headquartered in UAE, but we are pretty much global in that sense. We work with clients across the Gulf region. We have clients in US and Australia, and hoping to sort of acquire clients in the European continent this year. So we predominantly, come in when a company or a individual wants to create a digital product. So a range of services start from product and digital strategy straight to design, then development and aftercare and maintenance. Especially in the UAE, we've been able to work or collaborate with some of the big names, especially in the real estate. We work with top tier developers, construction companies, and then we work a lot in mobility space because again, there's a lot of interest and innovation happening in the smart mobility space. And then again, also in the retail and finance sector. But yeah, we've been able to carve our niches in these particular areas when it comes to technology. And I think because we've been so focused on these particular sectors and industries, we're not only, the technology experts, we've become the industry experts as well, because we understand how the business works, what are the different workflows. And yeah, so it's been an amazing journey so far. AI, of course, has been really sort of big in the organization for the past couple of years, not only helping our clients create AI products, but also using AI within our organization to expedite delivery. As you mentioned in your intro, all organizations across the globe are looking for operational efficiencies with the use of AI.
Yeah, amazing, Chetna. So as the founder and CEO, what are the decisions that you're still keeping close? And what have you deliberately passed on to your team members as your company has grown?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And that's something that I have been, it is one of my, I guess, been one of my personal struggle and achievement over the past year. Because as founders, we tend to take a lot of work, and I think there is that fear of delegation. So earlier, I used to think, yeah, I am empowering my team and delegating the work, but was I really doing that? So there has been a lot of self-reflection in this particular area. And I think I read a quote somewhere which really resonated with me, that I should be working on the business, not in the business. So, keeping that in mind, I have tried to sort of, I'm still trying to stay away from day-to-day operations, because last year I have focused on building a strong team that can handle the daily operations, or even bigger milestones and tasks for our clients. So I just don't want to be sort of a company that's heavily dependent on me. So implementing systems, training our team members has been really crucial part of our growth in the past year. And I can sort of proudly say that I am not involved so much in the operations now, so I can focus on the growth, on the strategy. But going back to your questions, when it comes to commercial decisions, they still sort of lie with me, because ultimately I'm responsible for the P&L and the cash flow in the organization. So that's something I'm not comfortable delegating at this stage. Perhaps later down the, in a couple of years, that could be fine. But that's something that I don't delegate as of now.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. And I certainly hear what you're saying about handing over responsibilities to team members, especially as a founder. You've been there since day one. It's, essentially your company is, your baby, and you've seen it grow. And, in those early stages, you were the one making all of the key decisions across, the multiple functions of the business. And now suddenly having to hand over responsibility, you question, you need to make sure that, there's trust, there's quality control, there's speed of delivery. So that's that must have been a huge friction point for you internally. But it sounds like you're managing that process really well.
I would like to believe that. I think there's something that my mentor told me, who's also my father, that you need to be system driven. If you want to grow as an organization, you need to have the right systems in place where you can, have clear accountability and responsibility given to the right team members. But also, something I learned in my professional career when I was leading a digital team for one of the top insurance companies back in New Zealand. There is an art in delegating tasks. There is a framework that I can't recall the exact name for, but it roughly talked about, you have to assess whether your team members are ready. There are certain tasks that you can just delegate and it will be done. But then there are other things where, you show them how it's done, and then you delegate a part of it, but make sure there is accountability and there is expectations set. So I think that's what I've been trying to sort of implement as well. What are some of the things that I can delegate? And what are the areas where my team members need upskilling or training for, those to be delegated?
I'd like to understand what good judgment looks like for you in your business. I mean, especially when you're looking to balance things like speed and quality and client expectations.
Can you elaborate your question a little more, if you don't mind?
So how are you making the right decisions when there are so many factors, as I mentioned, speed, quality, and the expectations of your clients? How are you making the right decisions as a team? What is the sort of guiding principles that you lean into to make sure that your judgment is accurate and good, as opposed to making poor decisions?
That really depends on the situation. I guess the first important decision is whether we want to take this client, whether they are the right fit. We are fortunately in this position where we can say no, that we don't want to work with certain type of client because maybe their budget is not right, or their expectations are not right, or our values don't align. I think that's really, really important for any business to sort of have a clear understanding when you're bringing on clients. Does your value align, or are they asking to do not the right thing for your organization? So that's the first decision. But when we take a client on, again, it goes back to having the right systems in place. As you rightly said, there is quality, there is speed, there is client expectations. And I think if you have the right systems and framework in place, you can manage all of it. So we have built an internal framework. Again, client expectations, if you need to manage that, you need to sort of be very clear and have a process in place. So when we take on any new client, we go through what our process looks like, and we also, inform them about their accountability and responsibility. Because especially when we are working with large enterprises and corporates, it is very important to make them aware of the dependencies we have on them. And we always tell them that we can move as fast as you guys can. So getting the right sign-offs, having the right documentation is very important, irrespective of the project you're doing, whether you're doing a cool AI related stuff or you're doing a digital transformation in a traditional industry. I think having that framework is very important, and setting the expectation. And having the clear communication that, if there are delays, or if you're not meeting any expectation, being very upfront about it, instead of hiding in the corner and saying that, or when the day comes we'll let them know. I think if we're not able to meet certain deadline, we try and be more proactive, and I think that's when I come into picture and I be the bad cop and help my team. In terms of, again, quality and speed, of course, as I mentioned, we have started using AI, which has really helped us with improving our speed. But I can tell you, using AI firsthand, that it needs a human to check the quality. So we're not there yet where we can leave the AI on its own to do the job end to end. Again, depends on the kind of job we're asking AI to do as well. But in our case, we need that quality check. So, of course, our goal is to, move as fast as we can. But if the quality is compromised, I think we consider quality over speed, because we don't want to create a bad experience for our client and their customers, right? So we take that part very seriously, where the quality is not compromised, and especially when we work on a lot of B2C products, because quality, again, that's your brand. And we don't want to sort of jeopardize the brand and the reputation for our clients. So I think for me and our organization, quality always comes over anything else.
You raised so many interesting points here that I'd love to dive into. So let's talk about AI and its use internally at the moment. I mean, you've just mentioned that it's enhancing your work, it's making your team far more efficient. I mean, where is it saving time for the team sort of week to week? And is there any space where it's still sort of creating noise, unnecessary noise for you?
I think so far, again, we are a tech consultancy, right? So we have, let me just explain you how our organization is split. So we create software products for our clients. So we have a design team, a technology development team, engineering team, and then we have project managers, and then we also have a sales team. So we are pretty much using AI in all different departments. Now, when we look at engineering, with all these different tools, whether it's Microsoft Copilot or Cursor AI or other tools that are available, it has really helped our developers, because they don't have to write the code from scratch, right? So we are seeing up to 50% efficiencies, where the AI can sort of help the delivery side of things, where they're not writing all the code from scratch. So I think from that perspective, it's very helpful. But then the quality control comes, because AI also doesn't really understand all the business logic yet, right? So there are different scenarios which our team needs to check before we, deploy it to a real world. So I think there's savings in terms of developers' time. So we are seeing that we are able to ship faster with help of AI, because we can leverage AI to, for engineering, for coding. Same goes with design. We don't have to build things from scratch. There is a lot of tools available that helps our design team to, again, deliver faster. But something interesting that we have also seen in our sales process. So we do, outbound reach, inbound reach, targeting new markets, new countries. And we have incorporated AI in our sales process as well. So we don't have to do things manually. They can be done with the help of AI, and there is automation in place. So, and of course, with documentation, that's where I think, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. It's making people a little lazy. But I think the speed is really important, right? Like if and in our case, like I said, we have really thorough documentation and frameworks in place. So AI really helps from that perspective as well. So it's not just one particular area, Lawrence, to answer your question. We're trying to see where AI can help across different teams.
I think with artificial intelligence, there's a period of time from an adoption perspective where companies say, "Oh, that's quite an interesting tool," to changing to, "Okay, this is going to be our standard way of working." Like, what is your process in terms of evaluating the value that an AI tool or an agentic AI solution can provide to your teams across, coding, design, sales? Like, what does that process look like? How do you move from that interesting tool to, okay, this is our process moving forward?
Sure. That's a very interesting question, because there has been a lot of learning in that space over the past few months, I would say. I have a very simple rule in business: before doing something big, it's always important to do a pilot. So same rule applies to introducing new process or AI tools. So we were working on this particular AI project where we said, okay, let's use this AI to speed up our delivery. And then there were, I think 3 to 4 people who were using it. And then everyone was facing different challenges, because it was not like, and I'm talking about developers who are amazing, smart people, right? Who understand technology. So they started using AI to, expedite the coding process. And we realized there were some people who were doing really well and others were struggling. Could be, the change, because that's not their regular process. But also, one of the most underrated skill is prompt engineering. What to, ask AI, or what do you want AI to do? So we realized, even with developers, we have to train them on on the prompts they should, give AI, because ultimately, I read this quote somewhere. Not everyone needs to know how AI works, but you need to sort of learn, how to prompt the AI. I think that's the most important skill people need to learn. And even with our developers, we saw that there is a learning period. Like, they need a couple of weeks to, adjust to the new way of working, but also learning the art of prompting. So I think my biggest realization is adoption, or change management takes time, whether you're a big or a small organization, because you're ultimately asking people to change their way of working. And secondly is, not just handing the AI might not help. In some scenarios, there is going to be, that learning period, irrespective of your technical knowledge, whether you are, a developer, architect, or a call center employee. There will be some learning, period involved. So I think patience is important. We cannot expect results to happen in a matter of few days. But then when we went through this exercise, we actually saw up to 50% of efficiency gain within our team once they got comfortable with the new process and they understand how to prompt the AI.
Yeah, it's a very sound approach, Chetna, and you raise such a valuable point about prompt engineering. At the end of the day, an artificial tool like a large language model is only as good as its prompts. I think initially large language models sort of took the world by storm, and it was amazing. You could ask it anything and it would give you, information with so much context and richness to it. But the more we started to work with large language models, the more we started to learn that, well, that's not 100% accurate. So essentially, the idea of hallucination started to come up, and that's I suppose that's where prompt engineering really sort of comes in to fill that void and fill that space and setting some guardrails to the output so that the large language model doesn't start to give you information, and in your case, coding, design work that is going to fall down at a later stage when it's under sort of more intense scrutiny.
No, absolutely. Whether it's internal or external. So I remember we worked on this AI product for one of our US-based clients, and more than the actual work, we spent more time in the prompt engineering side of things, so we can put those guardrails. And the AI started hallucinating, and it does get a bit funny at times. So I think that's something we have to start considering in our process when we work with AI products.
Chetna, if we turn our attention now to client acquisition and some of the retention challenges that you're experiencing, I mean, the digital service market it's relatively crowded. You've spoken about the markets that you're currently servicing with a view to trying to open up the European market in particular. Just keen to get a sense of what are some of the challenges that you're experiencing in terms of entering new markets. We don't need to focus on Europe in particular. You've entered a number of markets, but what are the sort of common challenges that you've seen? Is it about getting attention, so getting eyeballs on your company and your abilities and your services? Is it earning trust? Is it then converting that interest into long-term clients? Like, where are the challenges currently?
Wow, that's a very interesting question, and hopefully, I can answer it and not take the entire podcast episode. There are a number of challenges, but when we look at client acquisition particularly, so there's of course client acquisition within UAE, and then there is client acquisition overseas, right? So when we initially, decided to expand, and we said, okay, let's get clients in ABC countries. The biggest challenge we faced was not having a local representative. And it again goes back to the point of trust that you raised. They need to trust, the clients need to see a local face to have that trust in the organization. And then finding the right partner is also very interesting and very, it takes time. So when we, ventured into US, there were some, trial and error, I'll be honest, because we didn't find the right representative or right partner in the first go. So it took us few trials to get there. Someone again who, I feel if you are again looking for a partner or a rep or a consultant in another country, experience in the same industry really helps. So I think usually I'm of the opinion when you're hiring, it's the attitude over experience. But when you're looking for growth in another country, I think experience and connections in that same industry is just going to help you to grow, quickly. And then again, what I also, what has worked for us, is the partnership model. Agencies and consultancies who are already operating in that part of the world, partnering with them, and if there is sort of some gaps they have that we can fill, or there's better pricing we can offer. So that has worked for us in Australia, where we have partnered with a consultancy, and that model works. In US, we have a representative. So I think every country is different. Surprisingly, clients in US are more open to working with overseas companies because they are used to it, and that's a model that US has tried and tested, and it works. Whereas in Australia, they really sort of focus on helping local companies grow, and even the tier one companies will give work to more local agencies. So we had to adapt a different model for different countries. So I don't think I have one size fit all kind of framework or rule. So it really depends on country to country. So that helps. Again, in UAE, what has worked for us is focusing on a particular industry. So in the past 2 years, our focus has been real estate, and there is a lot of referrals and word of mouth marketing that happens for us. And I think that's the best kind of marketing that can happen, where a corporate is referring you to another corporate. Because in UAE, there is a term called Vasta, which translates into connections. So they always sort of want to see, irrespective of how big you are or how small you are, what kind of work you have done in the region, what kind of experience you have. And it's still a very small market if you look at the size. So having that word of mouth referral has worked, but also that comes from the quality of the work that you deliver. So that's really important as well. So hopefully I've answered your question around the client acquisition strategies that we adopt.
Yeah, you certainly have. And if we shift our attention to client retention, I mean, assuming you're delivering high quality work, beyond that, what's typically driving the best client relationships that you have?
See, in our industry, again, it's the speed, the quality, the professionalism. Because what I've noticed in tech, of course, you have at the one spectrum, you have all these tier one consultancies, charging you millions, and they come with the best professionals. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have cowboys, operating from somewhere. And that has really sort of, I don't know what's the right word, has not done great for the industry, right? Because we're somewhere in the middle. So I think for us, the quality of the work really matters. And having the right professionals or team members in place. So something that has really worked for us, we mainly work for, clients in GCC or clients in US, but a lot of my operations have now moved to India. But what that has given me is the flexibility and the option to hire some really amazing people in the team. So these are, people who have worked with the likes of Microsoft or Accenture. So they understand the process and the framework, and they understand the importance of having the right client, and service provider relationships. So having the right team also helps, because I cannot be in every meeting, right? And if my team member cannot represent us correctly, then the whole retention will go down the window. So I think that's where, going back to my original, comments about having the right systems and frameworks is really important. So we have set those templates, right? Irrespective of whoever is representing us, if we have new hires, they know this is the system, and if they are going in front of the client, that's how they need to present themselves and their work. So those processes and frameworks are set already. And again, of course, your relationships matter, so regularly checking in on your clients and the work and everything is really important. But again, for me, it boils down to having the right framework. So irrespective of whoever is representing you, they're following that. And that's something we're very particular about.
Yeah, makes complete sense. And I'd imagine having that framework then also ensures that everyone is aligning with your brand and your standards, etc. And it's a consistent level of service that is provided to your clients.
Exactly. So let me just give you one example, right? So one of our clients, we are doing, let's say, 5 projects in parallel with them. This is one of the big corporates here in UAE, and across those projects, there are different team members, talking to the client. So again, I cannot be on top of all these project meetings and comms, but having that framework really helps us to deliver a consistent message. So yeah, I'm a big sort of advocate of having processes and systems.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chetna, if we look at your service offering, the product that you're essentially selling, are you looking to try balance sort of custom work that's winning deals with like a repeatable offer that's scalable, or are you leaning into one and the other more?
So for now, we only do custom work. So that's been our bread and butter for the past few years. But there is a product service that we are definitely exploring, again, on the knowledge that we have gained on the AI side of things. And it was actually, we were talking to one of the tier one consultancies who gave us this idea. Oh, you already have done this, or you have this, so maybe you can extend it and make it a product offering of yours. So if things go well, that's something we will be exploring this year.
And if we zoom out, Chetna, and look at the industry at large, I mean, if you look 2 to 3 years into the future, what do you think is going to be fundamentally different about how digital products are built and delivered in that future state?
Oh, AI. uh, I'm definitely hoping AI will be, more advanced. So we can see more operational efficiency gains. But I think humans will be still needed. Our roles will be quite different. From doers, we might become more, quality controllers. So I definitely see that. And I think if you're a consultancy or an agency and you're not using AI, unfortunately, you will be left behind. So whether it's internally or creating AI products, so there is a lot of I guess it is also a commitment and investment from a company's perspective to make sure you're investing the AI learning in your in your team, so you can sort of keep up with the industry. But I think we all need to make friends with the AI. It's not going away. We need to get comfortable with it. And I think it's the change, how the companies will navigate this change. So as one of my team members says, if you're already not in this AI journey, you're already behind.
Yes, sound advice. And if you look at SilverFern as a whole, what would you say is working really well within the company right now?
That's an interesting question. I need time to think about it. Something that's working really well. is I think we have again really nailed our operations and delivery, uh, and we have again have a tried and tested sales process as well. So something I think that we need to focus on this year is scaling and growth. Looking at the forecast that we have for this year, and the projections. So that's going to be something interesting for me as well on how we grow from here and how we scale. But something I'm sort of I would say has been a great achievement is having that um, quality work delivered, nailing our operations, and in majority of the cases meeting timelines as well.
And on the flip side of that question, what is not working well within the company? Where are the sort of the constant frustrations or the bottlenecks, areas that need more attention?
Um, Something that really sort of maybe I can use the word frustrates me, is not it's something that's not in my control. And what I see is a common trend, especially in the UAE, is timely payments, especially with bigger clients. So I was talking to one of my friends who leads business development for a tier one consultancy, and he was telling me they have a debt collection department within the company. And I was joking, like, oh, that's me within SilverFern. I'm the debt collector. So, and I think this is a common problem across the SMB sector. I mean, SMB companies are facing it when they are dealing with the larger companies. And unfortunately, it's the larger corporates um, that delay the payments. When you're working with startups or you're working with overseas clients, they are really, really sort of, on top of these things. We don't have to send reminders or chase them. But I don't know where this is coming from. And this seems to be accepted in the region, which I don't think is right. Someone needs to change it. I don't know who is going to change it, but someone needs to really change it, because it will not let smaller companies, startups grow if cash flow becomes an issue. But I see a lot of agency owners posting about it and raising it. And this is what I'm trying to do as well, because it really becomes challenging if you don't have your cash flow sorted. But then again, it's not like you've not done the work or you've not got the order. You need those invoices to be cleared in a timely manner. I'm not going to name names. There are some big names who are doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. That's certainly a very real frustration and something that hits most small operators. Hits true to a lot of them from the conversations that I've been having. So maybe more people need to be raising their voices. Chetna, if
But you know what? Like I want to say this, that maybe it's accepted in this part of the world, but in countries like US and Australia, where we have clients, it's not a norm. It's and for some reason we have accepted this as a norm in this part of the world. So I think this really needs to change.
And Chetna, so you've mentioned that scaling and growth is a key objective for you and the team in 2026. If we get to December 2026 and you cast your eye back on what has been this year, what does a successful year look like for you across those two objectives?
Well, again, of course, the revenue has to grow. So we've been a bootstrapped company. So profitability, revenue plays, a huge role when it comes to defining success. But if we were to scale and grow, I'm also open to exploring partnerships and working with maybe different investors, because I really want to be that agency who was born in UAE and then kind of expanded globally. Usually it's the other way around. We have American, European consultancies who are coming to the region and doing amazing work. But I don't see a lot of UAE born companies kind of going global in that sense. So that's something, my aspiration, and that was, one of the reasons I started SilverFern. So inshallah, we can, hopefully achieve that.
And if our listeners and viewers want to connect with you and the broader team at SilverFern, where's the best place for them to do that?
I'm very active on LinkedIn. So if you want to personally reach out to me, that's probably the best place. And on our website. Again, there's WhatsApp, there is, a forum, and we're always actively, checking them out. So website or LinkedIn.
Excellent. Well, Chetna, thank you so much for making the time to join us on the Aegance Offscript podcast. It really has been a fascinating conversation talking about SilverFern in detail, how you're leaning into AI to assist you internally, but also with delivery for your clients, and chatting around client acquisition, client retention, and what your aspirations are into the future. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Lawrence, for having me. It's been wonderful having this great chat with you.
That's it for today's episode of the Aegance Offscript podcast. If this conversation sparked something, a thought, a question, or a new way of seeing your own business, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. We'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.